Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to 5 movies and a real estate tip with Yumala. Yes, and I am Yumala, and I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'll wait a couple minutes because just to see if we can get a couple watchers here. Um, and today is June 24th, and we've had an eventful day. Unfortunately, a pretty foul day in politics and in America. So hopefully we'll get some correction to this stuff going on. But thank you for joining us today. Again, welcome to 5 movies and a real estate tip with Yumala. I'm Yumala. I'm a commercial and residential realtor. I specialize in the Bay Area, but I also can give references for excellent realtors internationally. So anywhere in America, anywhere in the world, okay? If you need one. So just let me know. Today, I'm excited to have a conversation about the movies that, I suggested in the first episode of my show. Yes, and just wondering, I'm excited to see who actually watched what. So, what else? Like I said, we're going to give a live recap today on those movies presented in episode 1. If you did not see episode 1, please go back and check it out. Subscribe so you don't miss all my future suggestions of movies and my future tips, okay? And then, what else? And we'll have more live panel discussions like we're going to have today. And I just want you to know I'm a lover of good movies and great real estate talk. So we're going to have a lot of that, okay? So now I want to introduce you to my fabulous panel. Now I had a panel of 3 that were joining us today, and now it's a panel of 1. But it's all good because this is the way God wants it to be, right? And I pray that we bring you blessings, we teach and learn today on this live, because that's what I want to do. That's what I'm passionate about. So I pray we can learn and teach together. And you guys, please, in the comments, go ahead and ask any questions that you may have, okay? Thank you for joining, Elijah. And go ahead and ask any questions you may have. And let me introduce you to a wonderful individual that's on the panel today, okay? So I am joined today. Hi there, Ariana.
Hi.
I'm joined by Ariana Marbley. She's a top floral designer and an owner of a beautiful floral and lifestyle boutique in downtown Oakland called Essence of Flowers. And it's at 329 17th Street, downtown Oakland. So check her out. And let me see here. How you feeling today?
I'm good. Excited to discuss the movies and some other topics.
Yeah. Okay, so you saw 2 of the movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's see here. Okay, so here's our information. I just want to make sure you guys had our information there. If you have questions for us, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. Okay, so like I said, I was supposed to be joined today with Ariana, who is wonderfully here, and then 2 Bay Area comedians, Mr. Chris Riggins and Miss Kayla Keller. And they may, Kayla may be joining us soon. I don't know. She's having some technical difficulties. But Chris is not going to be able to join us today, unfortunately. But, I just want to say shout out to them. And hopefully you can join us next time. And hopefully Kayla's still on her way. Thank you guys for joining the channel, everyone who's here and everyone who's going to come. And I thank you, Ariana, for being here because I know you're a busy entrepreneur. So I appreciate you. Yes. And let's get into this. Okay, let's get into the movies.
Yes.
Yes. So I invited a man here and a white person because I wanted Black people, white people, men, women to get into this discussion. I want to get all kind of perspectives, and I want to get more people of color next time. So don't worry. Let me know if you guys want to join one of my panels in the future, because everybody has an opinion on, these kind of things, and everybody has a relationship with real estate that I want to know about, I want to hear about. So, but Ariana, so what 2 movies? So you watched what 2 movies?
Emergency and Bigger Than Africa.
Okay, yay. So had you heard of either one of those movies before you saw my suggestions?
No, I haven't, which is crazy because I did see your first episode and you talked about how this was on Bigger Than Africa was on Netflix. And with all of us being at home, these past couple years and streaming every single thing, Bigger Than Africa did not come up on my suggestions at all. I didn't hear about it at all. So it was great to hear something new. And then Emergency, I didn't watch. And based off of your description, I told you this, but based off of your description, you said it was scary. And I'm like, oh no, I don't do scary movies. So I don't think I'm gonna watch that. But it turned out to be something other than what I perceive as scary. in terms of you just have to watch it. You have to watch it. But yeah.
Exactly. So I know. Well, this is the thing. You know what? And I should have said this from the beginning. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Because in my first episode, I'm just giving you a brief introduction as to why I think you should watch, right? And I don't give too many details for a purpose. I don't want to give you any spoilers. So I need to be clear. There's going to be spoiler alerts. Let's talk about it. We could talk about the whole thing. Okay. So yeah, say whatever you want. So if you guys haven't watched the movies and you want to, don't go any further because we're about to talk, in full detail. So when you say that it wasn't scary to you like you thought, but what was it any fear involved while watching it?
So the preference, I don't like horror films. So I'm a big baby when it comes to anything gory, something popping out. I'm not the girl I don't go to those movies. Kids laugh at me. So when you said, oh, this is a scary movie, I was like, I'm gonna have to tell her I can't watch this.
And I was like, it's not that kind of scary.
Not that kind of scary. So as I'm watching it, mind you, I did have my thumb on the pause button for about a good 30 to 45 minutes, just in case something decided to pop out. But
wow,
did.
She was not playing. Okay.
Not playing at all. But there was a lot of fear in terms of what it meant to walk through this world as a Black person when you're talking about interacting with your white counterparts, right? So walking, and you said spoiler alert, so walking into a home and there's a passed out white chick on the floor. As a Black person, what are you supposed to do with that? And so as they're trying to figure it out, I'm like, y'all better get out that house.
Just leave your house. No, but yeah, because and they were Black men.
Yes.
So that's even
level of fear, right? Because you're already you're Black, right? And then these two Black male characters that are in there, automatically, it's no, don't touch it, leave.
Yeah, I was like, put the person that looks less Black make them put that white girl outside on the street and somebody will find her because it's real. Like, I mean, Black people are killed for less. So it's very scary, you know, just the thought, because if they see someone Black putting herself out there, just putting her outside and on the sidewalk or something, they're going to be like, they're instantly going to call the cops. Somebody's going to call the cops, tell them a Black man just put this white woman out on the sidewalk.
That's all you need.
And what? That is like a horror story waiting to happen.
Seriously, that is all you need.
And so they took the whole movie deciding on what to do with this white girl. And that was
girl, riding around with the passed out white woman white girl. She was underage.
Oh, on top of it. On top of everything.
On top of everything else.
That's right. That is right.
An underage white girl who was passed out from, we don't know if it was drugs, alcohol, a mixture of the two, we don't know. But
did we ever find out why she was there? How did she?
She was there with her sister. Her sister.
Oh, she thought it was her sister's house.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so her sister brought her to the frat party and then lost track of her. And then 2 hours later, then that's when she was like, oh, have you seen my sister?
Okay, but wait, did you like the movie?
It was good. I did like it. It was one of those movies where, because at first I was like, oh, should I have my boys watch this with me? And
how old are they?
They're 13 and, well, getting ready to be 13 and 10. So,
okay.
So, and we have a lot of conversations about just being Black, and operating in the world as a Black person. And my husband has a lot of conversations with them about, being a Black man operating in the world. And so we're very vocal with them about how that looks and feels.
Would you allow them to watch that movie?
I would. I'm very, like I said, very open book with my boys, because I don't feel like we have time to wait for them to get older, and this is just me, this is my parenting style, but I just don't feel like I have the luxury of waiting to talk to them about how to operate as a Black person in America.
Yeah, that's true. That's real.
So, yeah.
So, but what advice would you give your sons if they had that situation?
You see a passed out white girl anywhere near you, you better go the opposite way, and you better call either me, your daddy, somebody, and another adult, and just stay away. Don't touch it at all.
But she was in their house.
Get out the house. Don't get out the house.
Right. Because well, this is the thing. For me, okay, this is what I want. This is my point. And I'm mad that we didn't have some white representation here, because I really wanted to ask Kayla what her thoughts were. Like, what was her main takeaway? Because I really don't feel that movie was made for Black people. I don't feel like that movie was made for us, because like that's what we live, and that's kind of like, that's not a situation that we really, I mean, I guess you could look at it as a comedy. Somebody might say it was fun and funny to watch, but I don't know. I don't think that was fun. It was annoying. I said that in the first episode, like that whole dealing with it annoyed me, and because it made me think about real life.
Yeah,
how we have to deal with that.
I didn't find any, I mean, there were like hints of comedic relief, like with with the friend. So like I forgot his character's name, but like there were hints of comedic relief with him. And
when they got to the friend, to the brother's house.
Yeah, right. So you had little bits of comedic relief, but I don't feel like it was something I would label as a comedy.
Exactly. So yeah, but like I said in the first episode, that it annoyed me. So Black people, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. Did you like this movie, Emergency? By the way, I think we mentioned it. And also, white people and people, other people. Tell me what your thoughts on it. What did you think, people of color, white people, what were your takeaways from this? Because I read some comments somewhere online about it, and I saw some white people say this was a really good movie about friendship and the importance of loyalty or something like that. And I thought that was so interesting because I'm like, that's not at all what this movie is about. I mean, maybe.
But your lived experiences will dictate how you perceive the movie. So of course it's going to be a different, reaction. What I did want to talk about too is at the end when they were at the hospital and they had that foil blanket. They were talking, the two of the white characters were talking to the police, and they were bundled up in that blanket.
Yes.
And then you had oh gosh, what is his name? The one of the black guys in the Latino, he was they were sitting on the curb and they didn't have anything around them. And then when the police were done talking with the two white characters, they took off that warming blanket, bundled it up, and just like kind of like handed, like bundled it up and gave it to him. And I'm like, that in itself, like that act in itself is just like, it shows you the difference in how people are taken care of, right? Like there was just, from the beginning, right? Like it was automatically, we're trusting what these young white kids have to say. We're going to take care of them. We're going to show them just that act of having them wrapped in a blanket was like, oh, you care about them, right? Meanwhile, you have these two men of color that are sitting on the curb with nothing around them. Nobody's paying them any attention. They're already seen as suspects in like, this situation. And so I was like, man, just in that little clip or, that visual, they showed us like what it really means to be, of color in this country.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That end part, that was just like, what did they say? The nail in the coffin. Unfortunately, that's really how we're treated. It's not a game. And see, I don't like sometimes when Hollywood kind of Hollywoods this scenario. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's a movie, but it's not fiction. It's not
right.
It's somebody's real life. Right. So like they exaggerated the experience, but this is what really can happen. And Black men and people of color are really killed for this and a lot less. Mm-hmm. So it's not funny. Like some of the scenarios.
Oh, sorry. Okay, the trigger just of him hearing the siren at the end. It's like the fear that Black folks immediately feel whenever they hear a police siren. Like that's real.
And it's interesting because he was a Black person, but he had never experienced that. Mm-hmm. Right? So that was cool too, that they showed how that's very possible, So but yay. Okay, so I'm glad you got to watch that one. And like I said, unfortunately, Kayla is not here. I really wanted to get a white person's perspective. So Kayla, dang, we wish you were here, girl. So now I want to hear about what else you watched.
Yeah, so I watched Years in Africa, a documentary on. I thought that this was. I thought it was going to go one way, and then it surprised me. And in how they talked about how they brought in a lot of just like religion and what was stripped away from slaves as they were brought over to these different parts of the world, but how strong the Yoruba people were, where they were able to leave clues around just so people can continue on with the traditions. I originally I thought it was gonna be a movie where they started talking about, or documentary where they first started talking about slavery, and I was like, okay, I got to get my mind ready for this.
Right.
But it turned out to be something really beautiful in terms of like just um, the preservation of religion and culture, and yeah, I appreciated it. I also love the fact that they talked about Black folks that are in the diaspora, right? So they highlighted Bahia, they highlighted Cuba, they highlighted, and then this place in South Carolina that I never knew of.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's like, because they were filming, they're like, I bet you think this is in Africa. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, no, it's in South Carolina. A whole village that people created to preserve culture. So
That's
yeah,
been around for
yeah,
decades.
crazy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, and it's probably good that they are not well known. And now it's a little bit more well known, but because unfortunately, when we try to have our own
Anything.
self-containing,
Yeah.
community, the
Yeah.
government wants to mess up our community. White people come in and want to destroy our community. A lot of times, that's what's happened many times.
Right.
So I just think that everybody of African descent needs to watch that. Everybody in general should watch it. It's very enlightening. I really want to know what Kayla thought about that movie too. So, everybody, please drop your comments and questions about this movie. I was intrigued by the fact, like you said, the preservation of culture and traditions, even though Africans were dragged and dropped off in so many different parts of the world, the traditions that were actually, parts of them that were kept and were so similar. That was so interesting, right? How they had, because of course they had their own religion and African gods before, the Europeans came in. And so they kept, like, I think Oshun was one of the main gods that a lot of Black people in different parts of the world, they kept that, like everybody had that one god and they kind of called it something different, but it was still similar to Oshun or something like that. So that's pretty cool. And then of course we have innate similarities that we just all kind of have, that is nice to see, and it's something to explore more of and just realize that we have a lot of family everywhere.
It's so beautiful. So when I was watching this documentary, um, my spirit just leaped, because so one of the things that as a family like to do is to travel to different parts of the world. And so I always fall in love like immediately. And the first time, like when the first time we visited a country in South America, and I saw Black folks that looked and just like me and my family, and they just embraced us, and they may speak a different language, but there was so much love. And as soon as I was telling this story to someone, as soon as I like would place my feet on the ground, I was like, oh, this is different. Like something feels different here. And it's just, you can feel that, oh, I belong here, or I was once here. You just feel that. It's such a crazy feeling. And so and I was telling my husband as I was watching the documentary, because he's been to Bahia, and he always tells me, is like, if you go, you're not going to want to come back, because it is so rich in culture. It's just a bunch of Black folk. I love being around a bunch of Black folk. and then also you have like just the climate, which I thrive in, hair, skin, everything. So I'm like, oh, this would, be a perfect place, just in how he talks about just how the culture is so preserved. And then we had we were fortunate to go to Cuba a couple years ago, and the same thing. Like you are just, it's just such a different type of feeling when you step onto soil where you're like, oh, my ancestors were here. Like I'm feeling this pull. So yeah, it felt, watching that documentary just felt really warm to me, because I'm like, oh, there is a feeling there of being able to just step on the ground that your ancestors walked, and you know that there's rich history there.
I totally agree. I totally agree because I just went to a few years ago to a island in the ABC Islands.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of the ABC Islands. Have you?
Yeah,
Just recently? What'd you say?
just recently, yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard of it. And I was like, oh, I want to go there because you always want to go somewhere, different. And so ABC is Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao Islands. And of course, I've heard of Aruba, but I had never heard of Bonaire or Curacao. And at the time, and in Bonaire in particular, it's very interesting because they pretty much only have salt mines. Like on one half of the island, it's like the salt mines. They still have them that the slaves worked, and it's still pretty much there. I think for the most part, that's the bulk of the island, and then on the other side is the more residential and beach area. But it's really kind of untouched. It's an untouched island, and it's beautiful. The people are beautiful, and I would love to know more about their culture there because I didn't get to dive into it. But they, I believe it was the Germans. Was it Germans or Dutch that colonized the island, and they have like some houses that when the slaves were brought, they were kept in these little houses, these little huts on the coast near the salt mines there. And they said that they're keeping those there like it was a gift from the Dutch or whoever colonized them, whatever Europeans did that. They said it's a gift to the African people as a reminder for their ancestors, something like that. And, and I was like, I don't know if you could call it a gift, but I think that it's interesting to, keep that there just so that, because when I went there, I did hold it in a kind of a reverence to my ancestors in that space. I said, if this is, and it felt like to me a space with a certain energy, a different kind of energy. I can't really explain it, but it was kind of a sad energy to me, but right on in that spot, in that particular area, and it's kind of like what is it called in Africa? The point of no return, or they have the places where the slaves were taken and they kept those places, so that it's, I mean, to me, I think it's good to never forget that part of history. We can't forget that. So we hopefully do not ever go back there. So in that way, but it's something that we should all see so that, I don't know, it's a reminder for me that I have to try to be excellent in whatever I do. Now, I'm not going to always be, but I'm going to try to do my best, for my ancestors, period. Yeah. So, yeah. And so just to see, like you said, how the culture is preserved in other parts of the world is interesting because, like, we have some, but we definitely weren't able to keep a lot of our African traditions. Well, obviously, some of us in South Carolina, was it South Carolina, right? Were, so that's nice. That's nice to see. And, we have to look more into our history, I feel, to keep it going. We got to keep those traditions, or it really will be lost.
Yeah.
Because the schools don't want to teach us.
You said what?
Schools aren't going to teach us here.
No, and I mean, I think that's the beauty that traveling outside, particularly outside of the states, gives you, especially as a Black person, is the ability to see and place your foot on the soil where things where uh events occurred in other parts of the world, and be able to tie that together. I do think that we have, or I know that in America, we just have a really hard time discussing like what that relationship was with, or that forced relationship was with America and slaves that were taken. And I do find that in other countries that we've visited, there is a more open dialogue, and so you're able to have that, and that open communication, because the what it has felt like to me, and this is just my experience, is that we're able to sit down and talk more about like what atrocities happened and how we can move past it, whereas with here, or at least try and like preserve what we have, whereas with here in America, I just find it's really hard to have that conversation.
I know. Why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
And that's why we can't move forward. Like in a lot of ways, we just keep getting set back. We move forward and then it gets set back because people, just like with this, not being able to teach it in schools, teach our history. Like it's American history, it's Black history, but it's American history. We need to know all parts of what happened.
There's a lot of fear there. It's just a lot of fear there.
It happened all over the world. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. What?
Yeah, we see it happening right, today, right, when we're talking about women's rights and to their bodies. It's just a lot of fear when it comes to people being able to make their own decisions and be able to have all the information available to them, so that therefore they can make the decision that's best, for them. So it's just, you have a lot of people that hold power that are so out of touch with what is really happening and affecting everyday people. And because there's such a stronghold on protecting that, white supremacy, really, that we're not going to be able, it's going to, we still have a whole lot of fight ahead of us in order to make sure that we can gain some ground.
That's real. That you said a mouthful. That is right. And you guys, please check out Bigger Than Africa on Netflix, and let's, travel like we discussed, and set our feet on historic sites where our ancestors were, so we can never forget some of the atrocities and also the beauties that we have been through as a people. And let's try to learn as much as we can. We have to learn on our own, unfortunately, because who knows when they really are going to teach us the real history. So we have to keep striving to watch movies that teach us, read books that teach us, and travel, right? And talk to people, learn, because you people that travel know you learn a lot more once you're there, right? And talking to the actual people from the place. It's really interesting. But we have a lot in common. And I find, well, first of all, we all from Africa, period. All of us, right? So that's number one. That's motherland to everyone, okay? But then some of us are closer related to Africa. And, we need to definitely keep those traditions, try to keep some of those traditions, okay? Yeah, that's right. The rest of the world, for the most part, treats us with more respect. I know. It seems that way, huh? What do you think? Have you been to Europe?
Yeah.
Do you think? What do you think? I don't know. I guess it depends to me, but I haven't been to Europe yet or other
No,
countries.
well, we've been a couple times. We took our boys to Italy, so we traveled to Rome and Florence, um, and I mean, we had a great time there. And then separately, my husband and I have been to other parts of of Europe, Paris, and we had a great time.
Do you think
People,
the other, like what somebody just commented, Tavares, thank you for that comment. Do you think the rest of the world treats us with more respect?
I feel like, and mind you, because I don't. I mean, I'm just speaking from experience traveling as a guest in the country, right? Like, of course, what I experience is going to be different than someone who lives in that space. That has to live with their governing rules and regulations are going to be completely different experiences. So I can't speak for folks that actually live there. I just know that when we have traveled there, we've always had a beautiful experience. And we also do like make sure that when we're in certain places, like for example, we're taking black tours, or our travels are really centered around making sure that we touch like specific areas that where black folk before us have touched. So it's going to be quite a different lived experience. So yeah,
That's
that's
true. Yeah, when you live, you don't know until you live there what they really don't treat you like. But I see what you're saying for sure. It feels like um kind of that people respect us more than at least in our own country, because that's why a lot of black, people, celebrities used to go to other countries, especially to Europe, because they got more respect there.
They did. So I know in one of the tours, which I highly recommend if anybody travels to Paris, the Black Paris Travel Tour. I'm sorry, I butchered that. I can't remember what the name of the actual tour is, but it is a really, really informational tour. It talks about how a lot of Black artists from America would go over to Paris and travel through Europe, um, and they would be treated with much more respect and be paid much more money, and would opt to stay there, as opposed to coming back to America. So it was it the sense is that yeah, you are going to be much more respected. Now in terms of like safety wise, I definitely feel safer when I'm somewhere else
Oh,
because
really?
absolutely. Like I mean,
As
just
a black person or just in general?
I think both.
Yeah,
I don't
well, you
have
have to be both.
like I just feel like I don't have to as much, right? Like I do know that wherever you go, you should always keep your head on the swivel. But but I do feel like there's more of a sense of like a sense of I can breathe just a little bit easier, even when it comes to just like gun rights, right? Like here,
Mm,
anybody, their mama can get a gun same day, no background check, no nothing, right? You go somewhere, for the most part, you go somewhere else, they're not even like the discussion of guns is not even on the table. Like, no, you don't need them. We, just no.
yeah,
So we feel a bit more safe um, in that respect.
that's true. Now, they're a lot more strict on gun rules and who can have them in other countries, um, which we
Yeah,
just we
it's
just have to
it's
work on
trash.
so much in our country. But yeah, guys, so we could just go on for days about how there's so many things that we have to learn, and we need to continue to learn about. But one thing too I want to mention is that um, sometimes Black people are respected more in other parts of the country by white people in those parts of the country. But what about other Black people? I find and have found and have heard in my own experiences, that sometimes Black people can, for instance, in some of the Caribbean islands, I have some girlfriends that say the women were not nice to them. And I didn't really have that experience except for one time. I felt like, but so I feel like this movie, Bigger Than Africa, is something that I'm hoping that the diaspora watches and we learn more about, because we need to understand we're more family than what we probably think. Because a lot of unfortunately, sometimes I feel like a lot of Black people think we're different, when you come from this island, this country, oh, you stupid Americans or whatever, which a lot of us might be, but we're a lot more similar than we are different than we know, I think. And so we need to learn about that and respect each other more, because we all are facing still today, a lot of oppression. So why wouldn't we support each other more? That's my point,
Yeah. No, I think that like you said, we have more similarities than we do, and even just like in branching outside of just Black folk, just people of color, right? Like we all are in this together, and I think that when we, as a collective, are able to join forces, amazing, beautiful things happen, and so. And you see a lot of that happening, a lot of organizations coming together that is more representative of the collective as opposed to just one people group. And so, and it's been beautiful to be able to see that, where you have all these different ideas, all these different lived experiences coming together and making sure that we're building a beautiful future for us and the future.
It's true. We have to all get involved. That's what I feel. So we're coming up on the time when we're going to close out, but I just really appreciate you for watching 2 of the movies I suggested, which were Emergency, which was on Netflix, and
Amazon.
It was Amazon. I think I got that wrong. Yeah. And Bigger Than Africa, which was on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Bigger Than Africa is definitely on Netflix. I know that. And Emergency, I don't know why. I believe it's Amazon Prime that it was on. But before we go, I want to hear more. First of all, I want you guys to know Ariana is my commercial client. She was one of my commercial clients, and I helped her get into a retail space downtown Oakland. And I am so excited about that. And I want you guys to really support her business. And that's why, that's one of the reasons I have her on. I want her to talk about her business, and I want you guys to look out for it and support, please. So Ariana, tell us where you're located again and what you do.
Yeah. I own Essence of Flowers. So the Essence of Flowers is a floral design company, and so what prior to the pandemic, it was solely weddings and events. During the pandemic, we were able to pivot into offering deliveries. And we still did small weddings and events during the pandemic, a lot of Zoom weddings. And then now, as venues are starting to open up again, we're going back to the larger scale weddings and events. But we have, since gas prices are absolutely ridiculous, we stopped offering deliveries, but we still offer flowers for pickup at our studio, which is 329 17th Street in downtown Oakland. And so what you're able to do is still go onto the website, essenceofflowers.com, and then you'll be able to place an order for flowers, and then we'll have them there for a pickup. So E.O.F Studio, which is the name of the retail location in downtown Oakland, basically was came together. The idea came together out of just being in the pandemic. And what I noticed that when folks were writing letters or notes to attach to the flowers, the notes were very heartwarming, very very sweet. Whether it was folks just loving on themselves or wanting to love on other folks, it just made me feel it in a time where there was such isolation. It made me feel just there's some, still some warmth and compassion there. And so what I wanted to do was build a space that um, that felt like how these letters made or these notes made me feel. And so what I ended up doing is creating a beautiful self-care studio, really what it is. And so we have flowers, fresh flowers there on Saturdays, but we also have meditation items, journaling, comfy throws, candles, um, yeah, all of these different items that you would associate with self-care. Majority of them are from women-owned businesses, and if they're not women-owned, then they're family-owned. So it's very intentional who we carry at the store. Yeah, it's just something that I felt was needed. I felt that being able to open a space where folks can come in and just feel that love and intention that was how it was built, that they feel that as they walk through those doors. And so yeah, we're open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4. We're testing Sundays out just to see how that feels at the moment, but for sure Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because you and I know we got you that space in like the heart of the pandemic.
And I still sometimes I'm like, girl, you really opened up a whole retail store in the pandemic during the pandemic. Like sometimes I'm
Yes,
like, what? But I mean, now looking back, right? Like that was the perfect time to be able to do that because I wasn't able to afford a spot in Oakland before. And
right.
when the pandemic happened, people were just trying to get folks into their space. And so being able to have the ability to capitalize on that moment, and of course it just, coincides with like you in real estate, right? Like having it's just a matter of like you being ready when the time, comes, like you have your stuff together because you just never know. So yeah, it's a great space. It's really everything that I wanted, I got in that space. So
I'm so happy. I'm so happy I could be a part of that with you. And it's a beautiful space. And uh, I love that you've made kind of an oasis in the middle of downtown Oakland for people to come to. Um, and so, but they can get flowers any day there or just when it's fresh.
So we have fresh bundles on Saturdays. But you can still go onto the website, the Essence of Flowers website, and purchase flowers. And then those will be ready for pickup at the store.
Okay. And what's the website?
So it's essenceofflowers.com. And it's easy. So my tag is my IG handle is at the bottom of my screen. So even if you go to my IG and click on my bio, there's a link that'll take you right there as well. But yeah.
Essenceofflowers.com. Okay. Okay. Yay. So that's so exciting. Do you feel like business has picked up more recently than when we first got you in?
For sure. More recently, and I think a lot of it has to do with just the weather. People are feeling more comfortable with, coming outside because it's, the sun is out, it's nice and warm, and people are tired of being cooped up inside their space. And so we have seen a lot more, new faces come through the door. So we're excited to see many more. So yeah, come through.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. And thank you, Tavares, meeting that opportunity with readiness. I'm so glad you did that. And it was work. It's work dealing with the city of Oakland and getting us in spaces. But thank God that we did find that opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's more. If you guys have questions, um, are you open to answering questions in the future, Ariana, for other future entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you guys please contact me or Ariana with any questions on, if you have questions about getting into a retail space, we're open to talking to you about our journeys and, and I'm open to telling you about all the different resources that are available. Some, I mean, just different things are popping up here and there right now at this time. So, just call me um, and, hopefully um, we can help you and get you the answers you need for your business or whatever you're trying to do. It's always good to have mentors. It's always good to have people. I'm always open to sharing whatever advice and knowledge I can. So just go ahead and reach out. Okay. Yeah, so I really, really, really appreciate you, Ariana, for being here. I had fun talking to you about these movies.
Yeah. Thanks for having me and introducing me to these beautiful movies.
Oh yeah, yay. See, oh, and let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So a couple of friends are like, and people I've spoken to are like, well, what does real estate have to do with movies? Like, doesn't really. And be honest. Tell me your true thoughts on this. I don't mind because they told me they're like, it doesn't make sense to me, right? And I said, well, I'm a realtor. Okay, during the pandemic, this funny. During the pandemic, everybody got some kind of enlightenment or something. So for me, I watched a lot of movies. I don't know about anybody else, but I watched way more than I ever have in life. Okay. And I started having Zoom parties with a few friends and family members discussing movies. And it was like super fun, just getting the different perspectives and arguing and agreeing and and just talking about the topics because we just, of course, that was just everybody was craving that human interaction. So it was just really good to have that communication. But I feel like I still want to do that. I still want to, put out also expose people to maybe movies like Bigger Than Africa that was new to me. And everybody I'm telling about this movie, they're like, I've never heard of it, right? So, in that way, hopefully that'll be a blessing for others. And, then to also share my clients' information here. I like both. So I want to bring both. I want to talk about both. And I don't think there's anything wrong. I think it's fun because realtors, like, we share like what newsletters. I don't know if you ever seen newsletters from a realtor that says, okay, this is what's going on in your area, you know what I mean, events for the month, and we shared little different things like that. So I was like, what's wrong with sharing suggestions for movies and then saying, oh yeah, by the way, I'm here if you need me. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
That's what business people do, right?
I think it's just a matter of being able to reach a different set of folks, right? Like you have the ability to show that one, you're multifaceted. So I like movies and I'm a realtor. Like let's talk about both. And so I think it's a great, and a lot of people do love talking about movies. So I think it's a great way to marry the two. And then you're tying it in by having clients of yours come in that you've been able to get spaces for, or whatever whatever that case was. But I think it's a great way to get new eyes onto, you know, different things and discuss movies and you know, those topics. It just shows that you're human and you like you like to enjoy like other things besides real estate.
Thank you. Thank you. So they can marry, right?
Yeah.
Those, yeah, why not? And like, and we're entrepreneurs, we're business people. In everything we do, especially when you have your own business, you're always bringing up your business
Always.
because
And you're
that's
always
life.
trying to figure out like, okay, how can I relate this and this together to make it, you know, so like I'm benefiting not only, you know, myself, my business, but I'm also bringing other folks into it too, so we can win collectively. So yeah, no, I think it's great.
Hello. Thank you. Okay, that's a perfect note to end on. Let's win collectively, right? So, guys, please go and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got the Bay Area on my back, as we say. No, I'm really like, I'm serious. I'm passionate about helping Bay Area, especially business owners, Black business owners, women business owners, small business owners get on. You know, we're all trying to get on. And I'm somebody, once I am on, I'm going to keep bringing people on. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people. So that's the people I feel like we should support. We should aim to support, right? And, you know, you go try them out. If you don't like their services, you don't like their services, but try them first. Why not? You know, try them first. And, you know, before you complain about something, talk to them, see if they can better whatever they're doing wrong for you, right? And if they can't, then don't use their services again. But I feel like, especially in this environment, in this day and age, we have to support each other, period. Okay. So thank you, Ariana, again of Essence of Flowers for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, and we'll have to do soon when I get an actual videographer. We're going to have to come into the store and show people.
Yes, I would love that.
Okay, so talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye. Don't forget, like and subscribe, y'all. Thank you for joining us.